date on it, then we just save it for the next year.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, then we just kind of store them and save them for the next year. Since they're the same each year, you just keep inventory of how many you have left, and then you just order accordingly for the next year. And so, but I kind of keep it, I usually have about 25 to 27 kids per class, 2 classes, so roughly 30, I plan for 30 kids a class. And so, at 60 a teacher, that's about how we do it.
Okay. And the great thing about these is if you had a kiddo, because we have kids move in and out, so even if you have a kid move in, we may have already had a kid move out, so we can take their book and use their.
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely.
If we save money with the not doing the spiral, could we do that, or do you think we're not gonna do that?
I am honestly not sure yet. The cost getting it all set up is it takes the majority of our budget, so I'll definitely see.
That's something you can make copies of as a teacher though too. I don't know how many.
Folder, do like a 9 weeks worth of.
We've done it before where we do a front and back and they hang on to it for 2 days and then they take it home.
I mean, that's what we did this year, I'm just saying, that's so nice.
It is, it's
All
very
that.
nice, yes.
Yeah.
There's-
Annoying.
Yes.
And I'm thinking too, there was something that we were looking at on Teacher Pay Teacher that was kind of an interactive, it was the like PowerPoint.
Mm-hmm.
Because I thought about that, but we might try to be able to do this instead of that, because it sounds like we can do everything that we want on Embark.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Embark, like I said, between Great Minds and Embark, those are the 2 websites that you're gonna wanna save. You know, cause I do, like Great Minds, I'm on it every single day. Every day. And that's where I teach my lesson from, that's where I do all of that. There's a lot, Great Minds is a little hard to navigate through sometimes, but once you, like I said, if you Google or if you search those 2 or 3, you're good to go, and then if you have free time, you can navigate through there some more. But Embark is pretty good. You can sit there and, like I said, that'll be your favorite website your first year teaching until you can kind of get your feet underneath you and grasp kind of what's the concept you're trying to teach, you know? Like I said, now it's pretty easy. It really is. So, yeah. Did I cover everything? Any other questions? Let's see, Module 7. Yeah, I would not skip around as far as I would go in order. That would be my biggest thing is stay in order. But it's got to be across the board. You know, it's got to be every grade has to agree that we are teaching it just like the modules are saying, and then it does fall into place and it works. You know, the first couple of years it's a little sketchy because you're having to teach everything that they didn't learn from the previous years. But like I said, if you stick with the plan, this year was super easy because they know the terms. It was crazy when you walk in and you're talking about making a tape diagram or a number bond, and they're like, oh yeah, we did that last year. We did that in kindergarten. We did that, you know, and so they know it. And so, like I said, if you just stick with it, they will get it. But you have to teach in your grade level.
Tell us again, okay, so the last module, so that is really kind of around state testing, keeping in mind we hopefully will be able to do state testing this year, or
We
maybe
cannot
not.
have state
Yeah.
testing ever
I
again.
know, right? So like, what do you recommend about those skill sets, because that's a big part of the test.
I've incorporated them all year long.
Okay.
I was telling them I have I'll have to find, I can send it to you guys. But Singapore Math had a really cool math, like a word problem. It's like a word problem a day. And there's tons of them on Teacher Pay Teacher too. But we just do a word problem a day, literally, that we incorporate. We've worked on our measurements. We've worked on that in science. We've worked on it with our DMR. So we've incorporated all that already. That literally Module 7 doesn't even, we look at Module 7 as pretty much after testing. That's kind of our, well, before they push testing back, but that was kind of our filler for the end of the year. So we had all the way through Module 6 done before spring break this year. And so you may not get there this year. That's fine. You know what I mean? You may not, and that's okay. Because you'll have been, like I said, if you focus on what your essential skills are, that's your whole goal, you know, and then as you get faster at it, you'll get there quicker. But you already know way more than I did the first year, so you'll probably be there. So you'll probably be there. So yes. So
Thank you so much.
sure. Any other questions? I feel like I flew through it really done it both ways. First year I was really adamant about doing it, but I felt like I didn't have time to get my times tests and other stuff in, you know. I got to the point where sometimes we'll sit there and it may just take me 30 seconds. We may just start the day. We're counting by threes, 3, 6, 9, 9, 3, 3, you know, 9, 6, 9, 12. As a teacher, you gotta know your numbers and
Yeah,
know what
seriously, I
you're
was like, I
doing.
didn't.
You, as a teacher, so, you know, it was not the easiest thing in the world to do, you know. Now, last year I kind of lapsed on it, okay? I didn't notice a huge difference in their times test and all of that. That was one thing that I did think, I was like, oh, I forgot to do that last year, you know, as far as it's just, sometimes as your day goes along, you know, you don't always remember to do that. You can do it at the very beginning, like literally when they're getting their books out, you know, you're getting ready, okay guys, and I kind of, if I didn't have a sprint for the day, you could do it, you know, maybe if you have a sprint, if you read through the book, it tells you what numbers to do and which ones to do. There is literally a PowerPoint presentation that will take you step by step by step, but it's really long, and the kids get very antsy, okay? I've done that. There's an application problem that if you want to incorporate in there, you can do an application problem a day. But like I said, what my correlation with it was that, hey, we're working on multiplication. Here's a multiplication word problem for you. And it's like, I don't want that. I want my kids to be able to read the problem, keywords, and figure out what, I want them to use the multiplication skills that they've learned from Eureka, you know, to solve it, but we've got to pick the keywords out, because on the state test, it's not going to tell them, here's a multiplication problem, here's a multiplication word problem. So we've got to be able to, so that's when we started implementing a word problem a day. So it could be addition, it could be subtraction, we could be working on multiplication, then there's a subtraction word problem thrown in. You know, so that's what I liked, because like I said, we're working on getting them to use their brain again. And like we used the Eureka skills to solve them. Okay, we did that definitely. And I maybe, when I'm doing a word problem, I may solve it 3 different ways. Okay, I may be like, okay, what did you use to solve this problem? You used a tape diagram? Okay, tell me what you did. And I'll make her do it. Does anybody use something else? You know, I used a number bond. Oh, okay, how'd you do your number bond? So we're using our Eureka skills to solve it. And that's what you gotta instill in them, that there is more than one way to solve the problem. And that's where some of them may think that the number bond's God's gift to creation. And then others will think that the array is the best way to solve it. And so you've got to let them use those skills. Okay, so every time we did a word problem, we solved it 4 different ways. Okay, so that's why I was still exposing them to the Eureka skills, you know, the tools that we were provided, but we're using it in other ways. Okay? Anything else? Yes, no?
Were there like 9 questions during this one?
It's all good. It's all good.
You said for homework, you do the multiplication chart. Do you do that the entire year, or is that just through module 1?
I do it all year.
You do it all year?
I
Can
do.
you show us what that looks like?
Like a blank multiplication
Like
table.
Like,
Yep, the
So
old
that's
school.
how it's
Nope, I have it printed up. I make copies of it.
old.
Some of y'all may not have been around when we had
Yeah.
multiplication tables.
no, I remember them, I'm just trying to figure out what you mean by like, what did the kids
A
do
grid.
with it?
It's just blank.
Oh, and then they- then they-
1 through 9,
Okay.
grid.
It's like you have to go, like this.
Where's my, I don't have access to all my stuff, so. It's similar, I just go to 12, okay, so I make them go all the way to 12, there it is, pretty much like that.
Okay,
Is it like
so you
this?
give them that already?
Yeah, and see, it's on there too, that's another, oh gosh, Collinsville does not let me get on Pinterest, sorry about
Oh,
that.
so that's why.
Yeah, they're very,
Sorry about that, so you get the little page,
We're locked down.
yeah,
Yeah.
and so,
Does it go through 12?
I go through 12,
Okay.
I go through 12.
So you give this to them on Friday and they have to fill out the whole thing by the next Friday.
Yep. They can keep it in class, like if they have free time or they wanna work on it some people are sticklers, you can't turn it until Friday. By golly, I don't want them to lose it. If they worked on it, it's like, turn it in the homework tray and be done. Like I said, my whole point is I want them to hang on to a piece of paper and remember to bring it back. That's a lot for third grade,
So do
okay?
you give them like a homework grade, or what kind of credit do you give them? How do you do
Yeah.
that?
No, because I don't wanna penalize kids that don't have any support at home.
Yeah.
So I do, I'm that mean teacher again. If they don't turn it in on Friday, they sit out recess and finish it.
So you just make sure they complete it?
Yes,
It's
I just want them to practice it.
Okay.
And I feel like I give them time in class to work on it. I give them time at home to work on it. I give you a week to do it. If you've gotta have some responsibility to work on this, otherwise you're never gonna learn your multiplication facts, okay? So I have them sit out one lunch recess and they do it. If they don't get done, they just turn it in. But that's their consequence for not being time sensitive, being responsible. I feel like I've given them ample amount of time, even without parent involvement, to get it done.
So you would give it to them like the first, second week of school, and you do it with them, say this.
Yes, we go through it, like, we spend almost the whole math lesson learning how to do it, okay? And then I'm not a stickler the first, couple of weeks as far as, but some of them, they think it's the coolest thing in the world. They've never seen it before, they think it's awesome. And it's in our math, Eureka goes through it a lot too. Okay, so, but yeah, we
So you do
practice.
this instead of like multiplication.
Can you do it all year? What about the kids who master those? Do you still have to do it? Just to practice?
Just to practice. I've done some where then there is some that the numbers are switched up. And that's the ones that are really high. They're blank, but the numbers are not in order. So it takes them a little bit longer to figure out the answers. So, it
And you
doesn't,
just got that on Google or?
Mathdrills.com
Oh, yes.
I have them in the
Yeah.
corner.
and so,
Do
but.
we know what grade those are given back, right?
No. The parent, I put a little note down here at the bottom. I put parent signature. And so like I said before, I don't, what I've told the kids, I'm like, if I glance over it and you got a lot wrong, mom's gotta sign it before you turn it in, okay? Again, I still have some kids that we're doing good to get them brought back. I don't penalize them. If they turn it in, by golly, we're gonna take it, okay? But I've got some that mom and dad are very involved, they wanna know what homework is, da-da-da. That's a reassurance for them that by golly, they've signed off on it, everything's good, and they're happy, okay? So, I do put a parent signature down there at the bottom, but it is not, I've tried being that stupid, I did foster care for a long time, and so I know some of the environments that some of those kids come from, and it's like, I cannot penalize them for the lifestyle that they were brought into, so that's where, but, like I said, that's a
Do you
whole nother
send,
story.
any other homework at all or just that? Like
Just
no reading?
I don't do reading, I do math, science, and social studies,
Oh,
so
that's right.
reading does they do have reading stuff they do, yes.
Okay.
So don't think
Which
that.
we typically don't send homework.
Yeah, we don't,
Not really.
especially.
Yeah.
But I think we
on
really
purpose.
need to do multiplication. Yeah. We did with the thing with Penny where they had to say their, did you do that? I did it every once in a while, and then I kind of lost track of it. Or then I had to say it, like, 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 2 is 2, like, I didn't say it in a certain amount of time. So whatever they were. Well, then there was like, I know, it was just like, it was like a rewards thing.
Yeah.
Like, they brought it back signed, and then they said it.
Now, I've done it, one year I did it, if they brought their homework back, they got, like, we do a ticket thing where they can buy things with tickets, it's like almost like our money for class, you have to have 50 tickets, you can have this, and they got a ticket for bringing it back. If you wanna do a rewards thing, last year I didn't, and it was fine, wasn't the end of the world, they survived. And so, yeah, and like I said, it's one of those things that, it's hard, but like I said, I tell them, guys, I'm gonna expect a lot out of you this year. Third grade's a tough year, but I know you can do it. So if you set those expectations that you're gonna expect a lot out of them, don't leave them hanging high and dry, but obviously support them, but
So if
they'll
we
do
did
it.
virtual, could we put one of those in like the packets and just?
I mean, you'd have to put a
There's
couple.
also,
Yeah.
I think I got this off of Great it talks about transitioning math teaching structures to remote learning, so it kind of walks you through some ideas
There you go.
that they're already starting to talk about, so. This was actually in the math folder that Lisa sent us, I believe.
I haven't been on Great Minds, like, as far as search through it, I haven't been on there in a while, so.
And I think it has the dashboard, is that what you said it too?
Mhm.
That's what I was gonna say, I think. You can have your own private dashboard, yeah.
Yes.
I got something like this from teacher last year, but it's like a series of multiplication tables and they're like fill in the blank and then it ends with just a total blank one.
Mhm.
I mean, is it better to just start like this or is the progression better?
I mean, I've done it where I sit there, like one year, I told them, I said, I just want you to do the first 5, and then I blanked out
Okay.
the first 5. You know, if it's one of those things where, you know, I've done that where I'm like, we're working on zeros. Now, the thing is, you're not gonna expect them to know all of it to begin with, because right now you're just working on, like, module 1, you're just starting, you know? So it may be something as simple as, hey, I want you guys to do 1s, 2s, and 10s. Okay, or do 5s and 10s, okay? And so you would blank out everything else that would apply, and you just have them figure out the 5s and 10s, okay? I got another one that I started with, that it was a Google form, and it literally had, where man, I wish I could access all of it, but it just goes along, and it's just almost a Google Sheets is what it was, and it had 1s, so they did 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 2 is 2, 1 times 3, and I told them, I want you to do 1s, 5s, and 10s. Okay, so they just wrote the multiplication problem down and the answer, and then that was their homework too. Okay, but multiplication is my homework. That's all I send home. I give them a week to do it, and that's it. Okay? But yeah, you can definitely adjust it to, because they're not gonna know 12 times 12
Right, I
to
was
begin
just
with.
thinking at first that's so much, you
Yeah,
know?
and you can adjust it. You can adjust it to whatever multiplication problems you're working on,
Okay.
you know? Yeah, so. Mhm.
How many times, a week do you give a multiplication quiz again?
Twice a week. I try to do twice a week. As it gets closer to the end of the year, we do it every day, so I can get as many kids to pass as possible. But, about twice a week. But I give it, like I said, I do front and back. I give them 2 chances every time they do it. Because one thing that I found out doing the sprints, they do get faster the second time they do it. You know, it's like, they do. And so, and we talk about it, and I have kids that cry, but it's like, you know what, guys? Things are hard, and we're, you know, it's like, this is life. That's what we talk about. This is life. It's not gonna come easy to us all the time.
I like that you do the 2 chances though, because there are kids who just struggle with that. Like my husband's like genius, but he hated multiplication tests.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like getting that second chance kind of takes like some of the stress.
Oh, yeah.
off.
It's
You're
not
like,
one and
okay.
done.
Yeah, it's not just that one.
Yeah. It takes a little bit more time, because obviously you're given, I mean, it takes 2 minutes, and then you gotta turn it over and get everybody calm back down, and, you know, so I mean, you're talking about 10 minutes of your day, but I've seen more success with the 2 chances than it's worth it for me. Any other questions? I'm trying to think. God, I haven't taught in 5 months. I'm trying to think about it. Like, geez. I don't know.
Did you find it was easier, so the PowerPoints? Cause I'm thinking that we'll use that just as a guide, just so they can get their mind wrapped around what it looks like.
Yeah, I can show you what the PowerPoints look like. They're,
I'm thinking that we'll use something like that as a guide, just for our own help, stay on
And
track and everything
I
else.
used them the first year. I swear I have a little ADD myself, so it was like I got about halfway through some of the PowerPoints and I was like, oh God, I'm bored. You know, and so I knew if I was bored, the kids were probably bored. So, okay, let's go back to the first
That's what I
lesson.
was wondering, so Teacher Pay Teacher has some that are really interactive and they're cute,
Oh yeah,
and so I wondered if that would be,
they may be. I don't know. The ones I have, this is on Embark. Okay.
The lines will be reset. How expensive?
Okay, so this is what Embark has on theirs.
Everything's so expensive. Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah.
There's your objectives. There's your target.
Oh, $100, that's
Oh,
not
here's,
bad.
here's, show it to us.
Okay, so there's your group counting. I did this the first year too to keep me on task. I did this. I went through each PowerPoint presentation.
Hey girls, this is the PowerPoint presentation that she's showing us.
Yep, this is on Embark. Okay, so there's the video on there, and then there's this PowerPoint presentation. Like I said, I think I was ADD before they had medicine. So like I would get through about half of it, and I'm like, oh God, I'm still not done with this lesson, and we're like forever. You know what I mean? So, but it may be a good tool for you guys to use. It literally goes through it. Okay, so there's your counting up and down.
Do you use this counting up and down district-wide?
Say what?
Do
Sorry.
you use this district-wide,
Eureka?
the counting up and down, the hand motions?
They
The fingers.
do a lot in the younger grades.
Okay,
Okay.
because I'm the RTI,
Mm-hmm.
and if she does one different, I have to know their hand signals.
Well, it says
We're
on
doing
here,
universal.
so up, down, stop.
It's usually like, up, down, stop.
We'll do
Up,
universal.
down. Yeah. And so like they usually have, you wanna do something that is pretty significant
I mean, I guess it-
movement. Okay.
Does it matter that
Just
way?
as long as
This
it's
one's a bad
significant
way.
movement, because if you just do this, they're not gonna tell when you're, you know what I mean, like, but you gotta, it's gotta be with assertiveness that you're doing, you know what I mean? Because you're you're standing in front of the whole class and you're doing this, okay? So, I know the younger ones do it a lot.
Like, think about it. Isn't there think time? Yes. There needs to be
Okay,
time.
so-
Yeah, true. What
Write it down in your
the
hand first.
Then it tells you to whisper every other number.
Like with the facts. Actually,
Hum every other number. And then think every other number instead of humming.
Right.
It's just a good tool to keep you on track and to guide the lesson.
Yeah, I like it too.
And when we observed in SkyTook, I think we observed in 4th grade, and as they
Fine,
got
Lori.
throughout the year, after a while, they used it as a guide, but then they would like skip over the
Mhm.
slide if they needed to.
Yep.
So,
So, there's your application problem. Okay, so they have,
That's the word problem?
that's the one that comes with Eureka.
Oh.
Okay, they have one for every, we did the first year, we printed them out in a little packet and we went through and we used them. It just, time restraint wise, it was, there's other word problems out there that I seem to like a little bit better. Does that make sense? But you can definitely use those, okay? There's 83 girls and 76 boys in the 3rd grade. How many total students are in the 3rd grade?
159.
Hmm?
159.
Good job. It'll take me a little bit longer.
I'm so proud of
I'm like,
I'm like, wait, let me.
No, it's easy. 3 and 6 is 9. 7 double is 14 plus 1
Yeah,
more.
that's
See,
exactly
she's
what I
got
was
the math
thinking.
brain right there.
Yeah.
That's the math brain. See?
But not every student has that.
No, exactly. Not every student has that. Me, I'm like,
I know, I'm like
6,
visually
7,
moving
8,
that number.
9,
Yeah.
I got Terry the 1,
Mine
and
is
then I'm like, that's me. So it's like, you know, that's me. And so the math brain versus the non-math brain, definitely.
I have to line it up, because if it wasn't lined up right, I have to erase it. And I get mad because I had to erase it, everybody was already done.
Okay, so how many arms does each student have? How many arms do 10 students have?
20.
Okay.
Be like, I'll have 2 more
Oh.
please.
Jump right to the
10,
number.
20.
So see the thing.
These are gonna confuse me.
Yeah. So here's the thing, you go through all of this, and then you still have your problem set to do.
Oh.
Okay, so that's where I struggle. I mean, like I said, you can do it, definitely, and you can use it as a tool and kind of just pick things out. But if you have 45 minutes to get it all in, or however long you have, that's what we were running into when I was going through this the first time. By the time I did every little thing that they told me to do on here, then I still had to go do my problem set, and then my exit ticket. It was really long. It really was. And that was one of our biggest complaints, I think, the first year is, how do we get all this stuff in? How do we get it all in?
Yeah.
Okay, so, you know, there's some great, you can teach this forever. There's tons of stuff that I probably don't even cover, you know what I mean? But I only have a certain amount of time to get it all in. Okay, so that's where you as the teacher will have to figure out what you feel is important versus, you know, what you have So you're going through here. Do you agree that 10 groups of 2 is 20? Okay, you have 12 counters. Use your counters to make equal groups of 2. So you hand them out counters and do that.
Like we said, we're gonna make
6 equal groups.
And they use expo markers. Or X, yeah.
They've used dry erase boards where you could use dry erase boards and write the stuff. Okay, that's them showing. That's pretty much the teaching that we went through over the problem set. Does that make sense? Okay. Equal groups of 3. How many equal groups of 3 did you make? 4 equal groups.
I think that hands-on is gonna be really important for some of our students as well, that that need to manipulate something. I mean, we're gonna have to create some little manipulative bags.
Oh.
I was gonna say, you could use like dry erase boards probably.
But those who wanna do the.
But you may have some kids that need to actually move and
We just laminate the paper and like draw little counters on there maybe.
We took white pieces of paper and stuck them in sheet protectors. We did that as our dry erase, and we had them stick it in their binder, and that was their like dry erase board. We've done that. We've done it with like you just take a kind of a thicker stock paper and stick it in there. We've used that as their dry erase board. You know,
Did that work?
it did. It did. And then, but like I said, you know, it's one of those things that they have tons of stuff you can use, and if this was all I was teaching, it would be great.
Right.
You know, but I'm not even through the PowerPoint presentation yet, you know? And so, anyway, I did do that my first year, I did. And there's still some teachers that use it, and maybe they figured out a better way to do it, you know? But I just kinda have,
Oh, sorry.
no, you're fine, I just kinda, as 3rd graders, I can't sit this long, you know what I mean? Like we gotta move on to something else, you know, cause it takes a while. And so, I've taken this and I've just kinda condensed it down. But that is another resource. I clicked through it all my first year, cause I needed something to guide me through it. And then I got tired of doing that and I went to the video. And then I got tired of the video, so I just decided to do it. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just literally you trial and error it, figure out what fits into your classroom.
Does this download to your computer or is it all on the website?
I think it's on the website.
Okay, so I was gonna say if you downloaded it, then you could like, figure out what slides you liked.
I don't think you can edit this one.
So should
You probably need something.
Yeah, whenever I was when we went to Oregon, the teacher that I was watching, like she would just be like, oh, you can do this with, groups of 3, and you can do it with groups of 4, and then she just skipped past it.
Yeah, that's
So
what
like,
Yeah.
she knew exactly what she was doing, and then she would stop,
That's
and
what
then she'd say, oh, we don't need these 5 slides,
Yeah.
and then it'd be where she
Yeah.
needed it, so she knew exactly what slides she
Exactly.
wanted, and so then she just
Yeah.
went right through them, and the kids kept right up, I mean, I was impressed, and I was like, oh.
I was gonna say, and that comes with time.
Yes, exactly.
That
yeah,
comes
'cause
with
that was
time
last year.
and, yeah,
like there's only like
that comes with time. And so, like I said, your first year, it will be, oh, I love it. I mean, like I said, I love Eureka. I don't stress over it anymore. I think it's great the way the kids learn, but, it's gonna take you trying to figure
You're combining this
Pretty
information.
much, there you go, thank you. So, we're still getting information, but we're doing it, we're working it hands-on as we go, like, we're pencil and paper, we're doing it.
Yeah, because when we, were back together and talking, you know, they were like, oh, well, I don't use the slides at all, you know, so even like the teachers.
Oh, yeah,
They're like, oh, well, I don't use these, where the teacher I observed used the slides, the other one was like, oh, I never
I
use the
guarantee you were
slides.
in Lori's class,
And then-
Douglas class.
Yes,
I
that's
know
right.
exactly who you're in, she uses it, I know exactly who you're in.
Yeah,
And
so,
so,
That's funny.
yeah. It was
you know,
just
she does, she loves it, that's but she's a math brain, she like eats this stuff up, like she loves it. And I know her, I mean, I've taught with her forever, but it's like, she was in 3rd grade when I came on, and she was like, oh, you gotta use this, and I did, and I was like, oh God, I can't do this, you know, and so, like I said, you'll have to figure out what works for you. She loves it, she thinks it's great, and that's awesome. She's figured out how to make it work. I couldn't figure out how to make it work, so I came up with just doing we circle. We do a lot of visual. I'm a visual learner. We do a lot of visual circling, writing inside the circles. We write on that paper, and we make pictures. That's what we do, but that's me. Does that make sense? So, does that help?
So do all the teachers that are instructing today, do they all agree with going, in order of the modules? Okay. I just wanna make sure there isn't, like, somebody down there saying.
The
"Yeah, you
first
can
year we
scrap."
did it, it was kinda like, this doesn't make sense, this doesn't make sense, but now that we've seen the effect of it, sticking to it, doing what we're supposed to do, you literally can see that it's working,
Okay.
you know, and so, yeah. The first year we were told we had to do it, and we were like, oh, this doesn't, they don't know what they're talking about,
Yeah.
you know, management doesn't, you know, they haven't taught in 10 years, they don't know what they're talking about.
Right.
But, you know, now that, I mean, we even commented on it the year before, and then this last year was even more impressive, you know, that using the terms, you know, because like I said, your first year, you're gonna spend all your time teaching them all of it. Second year, it'll be a little bit quicker, but that 3rd year, they'll know those things, and you'll have seen, you're like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. This lesson took me 30 minutes to teach last year. It took me 15 to 20 this time. And they got it. That's what's weird, is I didn't just, you know, I didn't have to go into nearly as much detail. So,
I'm
yeah.
glad to hear you say that because just with the standards, because that's what we were doing, we were trying to make it our own.
Mhm.
And I know it's like it's a beautiful song, like it flows together, and we're trying to like take
That's
out
what we try to do
parts
too.
and whatnot. Because we get stuck on, well, we gotta follow standards, right?
Mhm.
Like as administration, we're like, we gotta follow this with fidelity. But I was kind of stuck in that too, like I didn't wanna say, you have to do this because I know that, I mean, they know the standards, they know it better than anyone because they've been teaching them. But that's kind of what everyone said, is I just finally said, we're just gonna do what you guys are doing.
Mhm.
We need to change it after that, we can, but
Yeah.
we're gonna stick with it.
And I'm telling you, the first year, it is hard. It really is. I've said it several times, it is. You
I
know,
think
but
that takes the pressure off you guys.
anytime you change curriculum, it's hard.
Mhm.
You know, but I'm not kidding. I'm actually kind of excited. I hope we have school and the kids come into class because I enjoy teaching it anymore. You know, like I sit there and it's like, I wasn't the answer the first 2 years because I was like, you know, like I said, PowerPoint thing is that's not me, you know, but I teach it, we're looking at the pictures, we're drawing it, we're doing this and all that. And so we're still getting the same skills, it's just that's not the way I like to teach, you know? So your first year may not be your favorite way of teaching it, but you'll learn from it. You know, you'll learn from it and you will, I am not doing that one that way next year. You know, make notes, like as you're going through it, be like, do not do this, like, yeah. There was one, the kids love, there's one, I can't remember which module it's in, I think it's maybe 2, but it is, you have a stopwatch, and my first year I did not have, you're supposed to give them stopwatches, and I was like, I don't have 20 stopwatches, you know, or even 10 stops, so we used to do a timer on the board, you know, but it's how many jumping jacks you can do in 20 seconds, how many, you know, so we're working on time and all that, and it says to pull that one out, but we leave it in because they fun with that one. You know, it's like, list how many animals you can come up with in 10 seconds, you know, and we're like, what? You know, so it's like, ready, go. And then the last question, I don't even give them a second to think about. It's like, list all of your teachers from kindergarten to now, go. And they're like, wait, what? You know, and it's like, it's not supposed to be in there, but I love that one every year because I get so tickled laughing at them and everything, you know. And so, yeah, you'll find your lessons that are fun, but they'll get it. They will. So, any other questions?
Yes, I have a question on vocabulary. What do you, I mean, so Penny went through and, went and typed up all the vocabulary.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that,
A couple years ago, I bought posters thinking, oh, I'm gonna put these up all the time because I kind of use them, I don't. I definitely use the words, okay?
Mhm.
So like when we talk about an array, we talk about that. We talk about columns, rows, you know, we use the words, and in my experience, just saying it over and over again when we talk about the lesson, I use the correct words in the lesson, okay? You know, we talk about tape diagram, we talk about, you know, I use them because that way, when they go on to next year, they know what those words mean.
but you don't have them have cards or anything like that?
I honestly, I
Just
tried.
basically for us to use these words to
Mhm.
teach with.
Okay. Like I said, I bought the posters. It was a waste. I
Okay.
tried. But it's like, you know, I did, when we were talking about distributive property, commutative property, all of that, I do like, I'll pull that up, so I'm like, see what this, and then that's about the only one. You know, we do talk about factors, we talk about, you know, we talk about all those because those are questions on the state test even too. You know, so I try to use the words, okay? Because, even when we're doing our DMR over there, I'll be like, what's this one called up here? You know, what's this one called? What's the, you know, numerator, denominator? You know, we talk about it even in our DMR. Okay, so it carries over. That's our
That's
9
the
square.
learning word.
Daily math review,
Thank you. I'm like, oh.
DMR, daily math review.
I know.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
Our daily
Probably
math
said it
review.
20 times, but I wrote down 9 squares, so I'm like.
I know, we call it those, it was 9 square, and then we kind of replaced our old DMR with the new one, with this one, and so now we call it DMR, but we call it 9 square forever, so
Gotcha.
it's kind of dual named. Yeah, so, but yeah. And then, like I said, the mountain map, I don't usually incorporate that till second 9 weeks, just because that's quite a bit of independent work. And
Are you gonna share that with us?
I don't know, I can give you the book. It's an online subscription,
Okay.
so
Oh,
I don't,
okay.
yeah.
Mapping.
They have a mountain language too, that's pretty cool.
Okay.
But, but like I said, that one, it's good, but I would probably stick to the DMR before I did that one, yeah.
But you said that one you did for stations, like if you
Mhm.
were to do Spanish or station.
Which I have a question, it's not really math related, but it's about your schedule, because you said that you teach 2 sections of math, and you do science and social studies. So you said 45 minutes for your lesson, 45 minutes for math small groups. So are you teaching science and social studies daily or alternate? That's 45 minutes for one of those. So then your other teacher,
She teaches reading, spelling, and writing.
for 2 hours and 15 minutes. Is
Yeah.
that about right?
Yeah, pretty much. Haven't added it all up. Seems like forever.
That's fine.
It does. What?
How many grades do you have at your building?
At SE, we just have second and third. And then in front of us is SIE, Skytech Intermediate Elementary. We were over there 2 years ago. We moved to, 3rd grade moved down to SE. And it's 4th and 5th. And then right next door is the middle school, 6th, 7th, and 8th. And then Mars has pre-K, kindergarten, and 1st. So,
Because that makes a difference with like specials and,
Yeah.
because we don't have 2 hours and whatever in the morning, do it. And with specials and whatnot.
yeah,
That's better scheduled.
Yeah.
how many are in this building?
34.
Our maybe it's
third,
afternoon.
fourth, and fifth, which is what we were at SIE, so we were third, fourth, and fifth. And so, but yeah, and then yes, I alternate between science and social studies. And if y'all ever have an awesome social studies curriculum, that would be great, because I've never found an awesome social studies
Literally
curriculum
just
yet.
being a teacher, just all pieces together.
Oh, it's hard. It is, social studies is probably one of the hardest in third grade, because it is, there's nothing exciting trying to teach Oklahoma history. I mean, I tried, it's like, there is just not
And there's
exciting.
really not very many, for, like, for curriculum wise.
No.
There's not much out there.
No, we got, we're doing, at least for the longest time, we had, Studies Weekly,
Yes.
Yeah.
which we had to hang on to them. We couldn't let the kids write in them, we couldn't let them, we had to reuse them each year, so they weren't replacing them, so that's even worse. And so we, but this year, we got the new Studies Weekly, and the kids, they're gonna replenish them, so the kids can actually write in them, you know, and like,
Do you like this?
okay. I mean,
I still have some from somebody else who had that.
Yeah.
I looked at,
and it's just, it's you know, it's okay. It's probably, it does a good job of covering all the information. It's just kind of dry. It's really dry. And so,
We used to have a very social studies.
we had an interactive notebook we were doing where they kind of, I don't know, it's hard. That's probably the hardest thing is, you know, in science we do a lot of mystery science. Have you guys used them? We love mystery science. We do Project Lead the Way, but it doesn't cover all of our standards, so we have to do it. But mystery science, I love it. I'm about out of emails. I've got to come up with another email for free. So I'm like,
so I'm confused
every
by
year.
that, because I've signed up for the last 2 years with the same email, and they've never said anything. Cause they like email me, or like, hey, your subscription, or not subscription, cause I don't pay for it. Like, they're like, sign up before this time.
Yeah.
And so, but like, is there like another one that has
No.
more?
No, but they kicked me off, like they told me I had to pay for one. Now the one, if you sign up under one category, if it gets you in there correctly, it has them where they're grade, categorized by grade.
Yeah.
And then another one, you can click on all of them, but they don't have them aligned by grade. So you have to be careful which ones you click on, so you make sure you're teaching third grade stuff and, you know.
So far mine still says.
Yeah, mine doesn't, I have to
You know, it
sign
says
up.
weather or climate or whatever underneath it.
Yeah, I'm on like email number 4, I think, trying to sign up for a free one, so. But that one, I like that one for science. That one's pretty easy, the kids love it. But, yeah, I still found the social studies one that just blows me away. But that's a whole other topic, so. Any other questions? I feel like I've like rushed, oh, not too bad. You feel confident that you can do it now?
They're rock stars.
You can do it, I know you can. You can.
So is that, you could save that,
I think you can, I saw you can make a copy.
so then I could just like edit those to the ones that you like.
You could do that. Yeah, you could make a copy of it.
The first year's always the hardest,
It
right?
is.
Like anything new, so I mean, I think just making sure that you're looking at it, even just getting your eye on it, like
Oh, yeah.
PowerPoint, like this is what we're doing, this is the lesson, just like you're mindful of it, I mean, any teacher, right? And then having a bookmark, I think is very wise, like you said, so
Oh,
that
yeah.
you're not fumbling around and confusing the kids and losing them, because that's when you lose.
Most
concentration.
definitely, most definitely.
So,
Yeah.
Look at this
So,
one.
it's, you know, there's several resources you can use to figure out what your lesson's gonna look like, you know, it's just figuring out which one works best for you. You know, you can watch the video, you can do the PowerPoint slides, this one is literally scripted word for word, you can read it word for word if you want, but,
I have also purchased, the digital suite, so like, we've done one, well, I think I've gotten 5. So that is the online PD that you can subscribe to, I think, for 30 days